So I'm really excited to introduce our next speaker. Ronit Bohrer Hillel is the VP of Engineering with Smartsheet. She brings more than 21 years of engineering leadership within both corporate and startup companies. Ronit came to the Seattle area to join Amazon in 2014, where she led Alexa's Skill conversational tooling, Amazon's Choice, and other AI innovative initiatives. Ronit is passionate about helping people reach their career goals, promoting women in engineering, and creating an inclusive work environment. She is a trained life coach and uses coaching at work and in her home. In her free time, Ronit takes part in multiple diversity events and enjoys exploring the outdoors with her family. So welcome, Ronit. We're so happy to have you back with us.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here again.
Yay! She's going to be joining conversation with Obada Al-Khomsi. Obada received his Bachelor's of Science in Mining Engineering in May 2019 and is currently at work on his Master's in Mining Engineering. Being an autodidact programmer, he was able to learn multiple programming languages and platforms with an expertise in Python, ROS, and Gazebo. Obada aims to increase sustainability in the mining industry by using AI to optimize operations. I'm really excited to hear this chat. So Ronit, I will turn the floor over to you and Obada.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot, Meg, for the introduction. I guess thanks for joining us, Ronit. And we can start this conversation by maybe giving us a brief background about yourself and how your career journey and how you got to work at Smartsheet with Netcode.
Yeah, I joined Smartsheet about 2 years ago, and my journey is long. I've been in engineering for the last 21 years. Started in computer science, so very traditional, and went and explored multiple industries and companies and social problems that we have around to solve. And I joined Smartsheet about 2 years ago and found this amazing platform where people can actually figure out how they truly customize projects and processes that relevant for them, making that relevant to what they need to drive. So it was exciting to see customer implementing this no-code platform in so many ways. And that's what brought to our conversation.
You see, that's amazing. I guess, what is one thing that you love about working in Smartsheet?
So what I love about Smartsheet is that wherever you are, everybody is very supportive. And there is kind of a joint feeling of community in Smartsheet. And that joint community feeling trickle to our customers, and we see them as part of that.
Awesome. So I guess at Smartsheet, one of your main things that you work at is no-code. And I'm wondering if you can give us a bit of background of what is no-code, what does it do? And
yeah, it's interesting because I love this metaphor. Take yourself 100 years ago. You probably saw like this old picture where you have a beautiful family, we're all dressed up, taking a photo by a professional photographer and needing kind of time to develop the photo and all those materials and stuff like that. And nowadays you just take your phone and click, and here you have tons and hundreds and thousands and millions of photos all around, and that you just have too much of them. You can print them yourself, and it's so easy. You want to think about no code in that perspective. So today, when we think about, I need to build a website, or I have this team and we do this new process and I need a software application, I need an app that would do exactly what I want. So what people end up doing is a lot of time just taking Excel and kind of doodling up with some table and creating some kind of process that they can work with, but it doesn't cut it. So companies go and pay a lot of money to engineers that would build application that would be very dedicated to what they need. No code bring a revolution. It practically states, hey, regardless of who you are, you're a leader in the scout, or a business person, or you are building a community. It doesn't matter if it's a private or a community or a commercial implementation. You don't need to know even how to write a single line of code. And here you go. You just need to figure out what it is that you want to build. And with a couple of configurations, sometimes a couple of hours, you create your own app. It could be a mobile app. It could be a desktop app. It could be even a voice app. So
Oh,
the possibilities are huge today. And you don't need to write a single line of code to do so. It's so liberating.
wow. That's amazing, and I really like the metaphor that you gave. And I'm guessing, what is actually a voice app? I'm not quite sure what that is.
Yeah, as I share some of my background come back from my Amazon times, and
Mhm.
one of the capability that Alexa had is to allow you to write Alexa skills without writing a line of code. So you can actually go and configure experiences and create a game. I created a game for my kids. I have 3 kids, and the game goes through a fairy tale. And I wrote this down only by setting power measures, writing the story, adding sound effect. And now they have a game and a story and they have it ready. And this is kind of a fun implementation for my family, but you can
Yeah.
take it to anywhere. You have an event and you want to create voice interaction for people to listen and listen to when the event is going to go on, or sign up for something in that event. You can use voice. There is a huge variety of capabilities in voice. Usually people do a lot of gaming, so a lot of
I
fun
see.
voice games.
Yeah, well,
with
that's
with
great.
the Alexa capabilities, you have this with Google as well, and other options.
Yeah, so you can make these high-tech, fun projects with ease with using no code.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. Well, I think that leads into the next question. I think since no code does not require a technical background per se, you don't have to write any line of code. Um, how can this technology then bridge the gap in terms of in developing countries, in terms of healthcare, education, finance, and different industries?
So think about it. One of the challenges usually in development countries is the communication. How do you reach out to folks that are living in remote areas, folks that have no access to knowledge or ability to train themselves, right? How do you reach out? And a lot of time when you go to those places in the world, cell phones are usually available there, which is interesting. That's another evolution that happened in kind of the last 10 years in those places. So if you want to drive, let's say, a social initiative to bring clothes, secondhand clothes, right, and share them with needed families around rural areas. They have phones, and you can actually create really quickly use one of those no-code platforms to configure the setting, allow people to sign up and say, hey, I have those things that I can give. You can create automatic processes that kind of send notification to whoever listed up that they're interested in that. So the capabilities of no code are endless, because it's not about what you can do. It's about what it is that you want to create. So you need to design what it is, the process that you want to create, the application, the experience. That doesn't go away. You still need to think what you want to do.
Yeah, so it just skips the whole mundane process of coding and learning how to do the different aspects of the program.
I'll give you an example from the Smartsheet customer pool. One of our customers is a big agriculture research customer. And what they do is experiment all around the world, because as we know, the world population is growing and the ability to grow food become more challenging. You have less land, you need to grow more food, you need to become more efficient, right? So the way they work is they had experiments in the field all around the world. They had in South America and in Europe, in the US, and they needed to make quick decision, not instant decision, but quick decision about what is the next step of that experiment over there, so they can change variants. Like, does it need more water? Does it need more fertilizer? Does it require other things that needs to happen over there? And how is that experiment in Brazil impact the experiment in UK and the relation between them? And what they have done is they use our platform to create that share. And they gave all the field worker the mobile application, and they could take a picture of the plant, add the data, automatically that would be shared with all places around the world and collected centrally, analyzed and moved back to them with the answer what to do. And that was just configuration. They didn't need to write a single line of code to do so. So you can make a huge amount of impact around the world by reducing that need to have a software engineer to write for you the application. And not just that, the time to market is so quick. You can build something in 2 days and not in a year of building, developing, testing. You come from that world, you know how much work is required to create an application.
Yeah, that does require a lot of work, and yeah, to be able to shortcut there, I think even people in software engineering might be interesting to know about no code.
Definitely. It's a fun way to prototype, by the way, when you think about yourself as an engineer. When you get to problems that we need engineering to solve, a lot of time we do proof of concepts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to do those proof of concept, you usually write code. So here you can do if you want to check the product experience, you can actually do proof of concept without writing a single line of code. So there's advantages in the software industry as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess this last 2 years we've been through COVID, and it has a lot of impact on people. Like a lot of people have used that time away from social activity into building themselves, learning different things. I'm wondering what impact did no code have during the last year in COVID?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. I live in Washington State, and there is a beautiful place called Leavenworth, that beautiful town, a lot of small shops and so on. And it was heartbreaking to go through that. I visited there about 8 months ago and see clothes that have been, shops that have been open for 30 years closing down, right, because of COVID. And the problem was that those places didn't know how to adopt. They didn't know how to create and connect to their customers. So online store, for example, was thriving through that time, but physical store were really suffering. So COVID created a mode of survival for businesses that were not able to go online and understand how to do that quickly and fast and connect online with their customer, ceased to exist. And that's the sad story about COVID if you look at retail side. The other interesting part that, and that's where no-code can come and actually really help them. There are a lot of different platforms that can help businesses to provide their goods out there online. But if you look at actually the COVID health and where no code could help, one of our customer, Roche, which is one of the large pharmaceutical companies, they developed the first COVID testing. And they needed to deploy them all around the US, and they needed to do that really quickly. And the tests were deployed in labs, in hospital, in multiple places around, different pharmaceutical places, and so on and so on. And the challenge was that, okay, they have this way to deploy them, but usually supply is good. In COVID, the supply was always missing. And the secret was to be able to move supply from one place to another quickly as demand changed. So if suddenly one place becomes red because there's so many folks with COVID over there, you need to ship testing from one place to the other. We were able to help them build that supply management system and deploying inventory, shipping inventory from one place to the other, collecting data and analyzing this in real time within a couple of days. Oh. And if they didn't use a platform like us, it would have taken months to bring in, and that's not a possibility, in those crisis times.
I see. Well, it seems like no code has a lot of great advantages and great areas where it shines. I guess if you can maybe shine a light of where no code has some disadvantages or things that are still in the works.
Yeah, it's always like look very shiny when you talk about those topics and the possibility, but we need to understand that in order to create no code, technology needed to evolve. There were multiple revolutions happening behind the scene in the software industry, like the cloud revolution and so on, that actually enabled this to be created. Some front-end technologies enabled this to create it. So all of those created good grounds for us to start driving more meaningful and flexible usage. but it's not that anything in the world can be created in no code. There are limitations on the possibilities of implementation. You need to understand that once you create an application with some kind of, how does it work? Maybe I should explain that first. Usually those platforms go and say, hey, design what you want to build. Now that you have in mind your application, you know which pages you want, what kind of action you want to occur in those pages. Now you're ready to pick up the right platform. So you go and search which one have barcode scanning. Yeah, or maybe I need that. Which one could send notifications through SMS or email or maybe other communication channels. Which one I can do video conferences inside. Which one can have a data storage so I can collect data. Which one have dashboards that I can use. Which one is working with all mobile devices, which one is not, and so on. So you need to do some due diligence around that. And then you usually attach yourself to one of them. So, and each one of them have its own limitations. So the downside of no code is that in the end of the day, you have a certain amount of templates and capabilities and functionality, and that you need to pre-think whether this platform that you have picked would allow you to do that. Otherwise, you would need to pay the effort to rewrite it on another platform. And we need to understand that, yes, it's still evolving. We are not yet there, but as the fun part about technology, it's that it's exponential, right? Once it started kicking off, it's kicking off really fast. So in the coming year, we'll see more and more complex scenarios becoming available in no code. You can already create complex computation. You can have an AI assistant. You can have a no code on apps on mobile devices and for various users. So you can do a lot of that, but there is more and more implementations that would come in the future and more reliability. That's another thing. Like there is always the element of quality that needs to improve and will improve in time.
I see. Well, I guess since you mentioned AI and like data analytics, collecting data, yes, how good is no code with creating AI? And maybe not just specifically voice AI or different kinds of AI like machine vision or other products.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about voice AI, and I think that all of you can explore the different kind of big AI presence we have today, and what you can create with them is usually a very small portion of their actual capabilities even today. So voice AI is getting there, but it's more of a command-based or experience-based or game-based. I have some friend in Amazon Alexa, and I know that there are multiple business implementations that they are using Alexa blueprints to do so. There are capabilities, but it's still there. AI itself, it's a big name for a lot of prediction and multiple kind of computation that are done by a machine learning and understanding what's need to be done. I'm not very much aware of very strong no-code implementation in that perspective. There is a lot of analytics capabilities. There is some basic AI capabilities that you can do with no-code. Currently, it's light on that way, and that is taking ourselves to the edge, because even code implementation with AI is still, there's a lot of learning curve going on over there.
Yeah. I guess we can go for one more question before we start taking questions from the audience. So what is no code and no code tech for social impact company according to you?
So to understand the question, what is a company that does
what does a company like no code that is developed for social impact look like?
Most of the platforms that provide no code are agnostic. They give you a platform and you can do a huge amount of things, like endless things. So it's not about a company that is that does want to drive social impact and no code. It's more of companies and organizations that want to drive social impact are now free to use no code as a way to create their application really fast and reach a very vast audience with the message that they want to share. Right? They can reach a vast size of population. They can communicate with and connect with a lot of different people around the world, and that is the impact. That is the revolution that no code enables them.
See. Well, I'm really excited about no code and what it can do in the future. So I'm wondering what is the vision for no code as it evolves, whether in the short term and the long term. Where do you see no code going and the capabilities that it can have?
So in the long term, I would want no code I want anyone in the world to be able to create application with no code. So we call them citizen developers. Everyone in the world become developers. They just need to figure out what they want to do, and they build it and configure it together. That's the vision. In a place where we make software engineering enable tool in a sense, right? Where I see the industry heading is that you'll always have technology growing and evolving to places some that we can imagine, some that we'll discover in the future, right? And what you'll see is that no code would go and trail that. So as a capability is maturing, you talked about AI. Once certain models, machine learning models mature and we control them very well, and we don't need to spend months on training the model, if anybody here comes from machine learning knows that, then, I can just, pick it up, take it and put it as an implementation in an application. It's become available for no code. So as technology evolve and grow, no code kind of come behind this and adopt those technologies that mature and goes in. So where I see the future is that more and more complex implementation becoming available in no code, and it would go exponential as well. It would trail the software engineering industry.
It's awesome. I can't wait to see where no code goes and what capabilities are available. I guess we do have some questions from the audience. Meg has forwarded me some of the questions. I'll start with the first one. What basic skills are required to use no code? While the average 30, 40 something is tech literate, the skills are less pervasive in older age groups.
Okay, so in my perspective, you probably need two types of skills. One is ability to design what you want to provide, right? And that's not related to no code. You just need to be able to envision the process or the experience you want to give the audience that you're working with. You need to think about how your app would look like, what kind of functionality you want to provide there, and you need to have that ability. Sometimes when we create processes, the ingenious about is creating a good, efficient process, regardless of how you implement it. You just need to create this good process. The second part is you do need to be a little tech savvy. You want to be able to get into a website and understand how that works. You want to be able to do some mathematical formulas. And if you don't need complex one, that's easy. But if you need complex computation because that's what you do, then you'll need some math skill and to be able to do that. But that depends as well as you. If you need computation, and so usually many of those platforms allow you to create formulas, and by using those formulas, you can actually deduct next action or a summary of activity and a bunch of that. So you need to have some orientation to, hey, I can get on the web and I can open this tool that I pull and drag stuff into the display, and I can set some formulas, and voila, I got this going. So that's the basic skill you need today. You cannot just talk to it and say, hey, please create me an app with the first page of this and the second page. Maybe we'll get there.
Maybe one day, yeah. Another question we have is, what should be the ideal way forward for a solo entrepreneur to explore no code, or maybe quickly glance through a course bootcamp like from Udemy or other websites?
I would actually recommend them to pick a platform, a no-code platform that they find interesting, maybe even one or two, and just go browse them and play with them. That's usually the best way to
Mhm.
experiment. What is it like? There are for sure multiple interesting YouTubes to watch and so on, but I love kind of picking up a platform and playing with it because then I am learning the best. But that's me.
Yeah, I think I function the same, like more of project-based exploration and learning the product. We have a follow-up question, which is, do you think no code covers all aspects of tech that a founder might need in a day-to-day functioning?
For sure, the answer is no. All is a very general word. But it probably covers multiple aspects that you would find easy to implement in no code. So I would encourage them to say, hey, here are the 5 different processes or 5 different processes and experience that I have and that are really relevant for my company or my organization. What do I need to implement them in no code? And start doodling with those.
Mhm. Yeah, I think we don't have any more audience questions, so I'll chime in and bring one of my questions. Given your experience in engineering and the research teams over the years, how do you see the applicability of no code in such environments where there's a lot of innovation and creating new platforms?
If you are asking about the ability to use no code for engineering, is that the question?
Yeah.
I think that no code is again, it's a way, there are a couple of places that you can use it. One is a way to experiment on different concepts. Then in some cases, it's a place to say, hey, do I really need to write that application? So when you come and get requirement for things that you think are not that complex or not that unique, usually the uniqueness is the one that you want to think about. Maybe I don't need to spend that time building it. I can just pick one of those platforms and put that in. When you have no experience in AI or in voice, pulling some of those into your platform. Maybe it would not be no code, but it would be low code. So there would be some code to connect it to your application if you're a software engineer, but the rest of the thing it would do itself. And you can see that, again, very common in the voice platforms that you have all around and in the chatbot platforms that you have all around. But there are other capabilities that allow that as well. So that's where I see no code helping software engineers.
Yeah, I think it can be quite useful. And yeah, thank you a lot for this conversation. It's very interesting to learn more about no code. I guess if you can just tell maybe the audience how they can connect with you, maybe drop an email or a website that they can get in contact with you if they want to have more information.
Thank you for hosting me today. It was a fun conversation. Anyone can connect with me through LinkedIn. That's usually the best place, and I see that a lot, and I'm happy to answer more questions there. I come from Smartsheet, so if you want to have a taste of what is no code, our workup platform and Smartsheet in general allow you to create really interesting processes using no code. So you can experiment with that as well. Follow the trends. They go and they evolve and change, and you'll be surprised that things that were not enabled a year ago are now available for everybody.
All right. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to both of you, Obada and Ronit. That was a really great chat. And thank you so much for taking those audience questions. I was just as interested as well. So that was, it was really great that y'all had time to do that.